Your Majesty, Minister, esteemed prize winner, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce you to Anne Ramberg, the chair of the Stockholm Prize in Criminology Foundation, and our Master of Ceremony this evening. Anne, welcome.
Your Majesty, honored prize winner, Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to welcome you all to the Stockholm Prize in Criminology Award Ceremony 2023. I do so on behalf of the National Council for Crime Prevention in cooperation with the Stockholm University and the Stockholm Prize in Criminology Foundation. Our three organizations are jointly arranging this award ceremony. Today we are here to celebrate the recipient of this year's Prize in Criminology, Professor Beatriz Magaloni. She comes from Stanford University and she is awarded the prize for her research that provides important evidence that police organizations are vulnerable to populist demands for harsh police methods. The co-chair of the prize jury will present Professor Magaloni and her research in a short while. Criminology is a multidisciplinary discipline closely linked to sociology that focuses on scientific study on the non-legal aspects of crime and criminal behavior with the aim to reduce or prevent crime in society. But criminology is also linked to criminal justice. The difference is that criminology focuses on science and research by studying underlying economic, sociological, and psychological conditions, while criminal justice emphasizes on application and administration in relation to preventing future crimes and capture the perpetrators. In the best of words, criminology and criminal politics should walk hand in hand. Unfortunately, that is not always the case. It is a tall order, though, for politicians adequately to respond to challenges related to criminality. By listening to the scientists and standing up for the rule of law and the protection of human rights, the possibilities increase to prevent and combat crime and injustice. The Stockholm Prize in Criminology was awarded for the first time in June 2006. The prize was financed through yearly private donations by the Jerry Lee Foundation and the Tokyo-based Hitachi Global Foundation. However, in order to secure its long-term financial viability, the Stockholm Prize in Criminology Foundation was established. A major official grant was provided by the Swedish Parliament in 2011. The Torsten Söderberg Foundation, with the support of the Ragnar Söderberg Foundation, has generously provided matching funds. Donations from other organizations generously varies from year to year. The prize sum amounts to at least 1 million Swedish kronor. We are extremely happy and thankful for their important and generous support. By establishing the independent Stockholm Prize in Criminology Foundation under the aegis of the Swedish Ministry of Justice, the importance of criminology, rule of law, and human rights are given their proper and lasting place in society. By tradition, the prize ceremony is held here in the City Hall of Stockholm, and for this we are also very grateful. The City Hall is a beautiful building, and it gives a special solemnity to the prize ceremony. I now give the floor to Olle Burell, President of the Stockholm City Council, and thus our host, to say a few words on behalf of the city. Please.
Your Majesty, dear prize winner, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. As President of the City Council of Stockholm, it is my great honor to welcome you all to the City Hall. When I arrived here, I felt it's a very warm atmosphere, and I know that many of you have been here many times before. So thank you for coming back. Maybe some of you are here for the first time. Anybody? Some? Good. Because then it's useful that I tell you a bit more about this house. As you know, this hall is called the Blue Hall, but you can see it is not blue. It's because when the architect, Ragnar Östberg, saw the beautiful brick here, he realized that his original idea to paint it blue was not the best idea. And he was not too prestigious, and he changed his mind. So we're very happy about that. He had also, why I tell you this is also because I am an architect, so I enjoy being in this building. And the second thing that I find fascinating is that he wanted this piazza to have no roof. But then he maybe considered snow and rain in Stockholm and realized it's much more useful, as it is tonight, and also on the 10th of December every year. When you come here, you fill this house with knowledge and discussions about extremely important topics. And this is how we want this City Hall to be used. It was inaugurated in 1923 by His Majesty King Gustav V, great-grandfather of our current king. And there are pictures of him arriving in the boat, which is now down by the lake Mälaren. And on the 22nd, Her Majesty the Queen and His Majesty the King will arrive in the same way. And we will celebrate the 100 years of this house, being filled with important occasions like this. This is also the heart of the Stockholm democracy, where all important decisions concerning our city and our citizens here in Stockholm are made in another beautiful red hall. We are opening up this City Hall this year to make it possible for so many Stockholmers as possible and visitors from all around the world to enjoy the house with all its eclectic details. So for you who are here for the first time, I hope you get the feeling of a fantastic building, and for you who return here, that you discover new details, because this house is full of details. And I still find new details every day walking around here. In a little while, we will go up to the Golden Hall, and then you will understand also that the Blue Hall and the Golden Hall makes a picture of the Swedish flag that we are very proud of. Once again, we are very honored that your fantastic organization, this important prize, comes here every year. And you are warmly welcome, all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's now my great honor to welcome Gunnar Strömmer, our Swedish Minister for Justice, to say a few words. The floor is yours, please.
Your Majesty, dear prize winner, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As Sweden's Minister for Justice, I am very proud and delighted to welcome you to this award ceremony. The Stockholm Prize in Criminology is considered one of the most prestigious and highly regarded awards in the field of criminology. And tonight, we acknowledge and celebrate the outstanding work of this year's prize winner, Professor Beatriz Magaloni, in this magnificent setting of Stockholm City Hall. But first, I would like to express my gratitude to everyone who has contributed to making the Stockholm Criminology Symposium an internationally recognized forum for the exchange of knowledge in the field of criminology. I wish to thank the Swedish National Council for Crime Prevention for hosting this ceremony and for once again organizing a successful symposium. I would also like to acknowledge the significant efforts of the prize jury, the prize office, the board of the foundation, and the founders. Thank you for making this prize possible. And last, but certainly not least, I would like to thank all of you here tonight for generously sharing your knowledge, experience, and ideas to advance criminological research and practice. The very first Stockholm Prize in Criminology was awarded in 2006, and I'm sure you'll agree that a lot has changed since then. While globalization and rapid technological development create many opportunities, they also pose new challenges. Today, organized crime is becoming increasingly transnational, and radicalization into extremism largely takes place online. While these developments inevitably put pressure on the justice system and highlight the need for new tools in the fight against crime, one fundamental democratic principle remains constant over time. No matter how serious the challenges, the rule of law must never be compromised. This view is also reflected in one of the objectives of the Stockholm Prize in Criminology, to promote the development of better ways to reduce the global problem of illegal or abusive practices that may occur in the administration of justice. Tonight, we are here to honor Professor Beatriz Magaloni, whose work has made a significant contribution in this regard. Through innovative criminological research in Latin American countries, Professor Magaloni has clearly demonstrated the risks associated with law enforcement that violates the rule of law. Furthermore, her survey study of inmates in Mexican prisons contributed to a reform in Mexico to ban coerced confessions as evidence in trials. This is certainly a telling example of how research can inform and improve the administration of justice. I would like to extend my warmest congratulations to you, Professor Magaloni. I hope this prize will serve as an encouragement to you in your continued research and to many other researchers in your field. And to all of our guests here tonight, I wish you a wonderful and memorable evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Our next speaker is Mr. Jerry Lee. He is the initial donor of the Stockholm Prize in Criminology. Jerry Lee has committed his life to improving the global community through the promotion of social science research into the causes of such social problems as poverty and crime. It is unfortunately not possible for me to introduce Mr. Lee as thorough as he deserves due to his extensive contributions to crime prevention, to education, to evidence-based policy, among other things, during his career. So please, Jerry Lee.
You know, it's always such a joy coming to this magnificent venue. There's nothing like it in the world. 2 decades ago, when the Swedish Ministry of Justice first explored the idea of the Stockholm Prize in Criminology, crime rates were falling across the developed economies. Yet free societies understood that crime remained a complex problem that needed far more research for better solutions. For a nation that leads the world in prizes in discovering new ways to solve problems, Sweden was the ideal place to consider a prize for recognizing important new knowledge about justice and public safety. Today, there's no question that Sweden was right. In the most advanced economies, violent crime is going up. And it's a major, major problem. Even in the United States, a rapid rise in murders has been, it's turned to the point where people are saying we should defund the police. I mean, what an oxymoron that is. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Yet the experimental evidence of the effectiveness of fair and focused policing has only grown stronger, and as well as new discoveries on improving police lawfulness. The 2023 Stockholm Prize recognizes this evidence, which is important for all democracies, and especially in developing nations. There is no doubt that now, more than ever, we need more thinking about crime and more research to understand it. The Stockholm Prize is the only prize that has been a beacon to the world on the good that criminology can accomplish. And also, Sweden has made me very proud to allow me to be the first donor to this prize, along with the Soderbergh Foundation and the Hitachi Foundation, in funding the first 10 years of the prize, and then the great generosity of the Soderbergh Foundation to come in, along with the government, to make this a permanent prize that will go on forever. And I salute you. This year's recognition of Professor Beatriz Magaloni makes me even prouder. Her work has helped us to understand the potential for the rule of law to make developing societies less criminogenic. I am delighted to see this important contribution recognized and to help communicate her research and findings around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. May I ask you, is the sound okay for you? It is, good. Stockholm University is deeply involved with the Stockholm Prize in Criminology Foundation and is closely cooperating in different aspects related to the prize. And this is possible thanks to President Astrid Söderberg-Widing's willingness to cooperate in our common field of interest. She is also a member of the board of the foundation. So please, Astrid, the floor is yours.
Your Majesty, esteemed laureate, Your Excellence, distinguished scholars, ladies and gentlemen. It is a true honor for Stockholm University to be part of the important work of the Stockholm Prize in Criminology Foundation. Let me first and foremost express my gratitude to the founders, the Swedish government, and the Torsten Söderberg Foundation, as well as to the co-founders, Jerry Lee Foundation and the Hitachi Mirai Foundation, who have all not only enabled this prize to come true, but also to develop successfully since its foundation. Let me also thank the Swedish National Council for Crime Prevention for good collaboration during many years within the foundation. The climate in Swedish society has indeed changed radically since the prize was first launched in 2006. Today, crime and crime prevention play a major role in politics as well as in public debate. This could be seen as a positive development. It is, of course, important to prioritize crime prevention. Unfortunately, however, our societies, and this is true not only of Sweden, but globally, have also become increasingly polarized throughout the years and challenged by crimes, but also by insufficient and sometimes less adequate crime prevention. This makes it more difficult to foster a scientifically grounded dialogue that in a positive way can inform political decisions. When scientific findings are increasingly questioned, how can we possibly guarantee that the measures that we decide about will really be efficient and lead to a positive development for our societies? But on the other hand, these challenges only emphasize the importance of the work that is being done, not least by this year's laureate of the Stockholm Prize in Criminology, Professor Beatriz Magaloni. Her important and most timely research makes it possible to understand how poverty and social vulnerability are closely intertwined with violence, and that society's way of handling this is crucial. The double focus on both criminal gangs and government authorities in investigating her core questions is key when it comes to work against further polarization. Getting a full overview of the problems in order to take adequate decisions on the right measures. Her work is an efficient remedy against populist demands as it, and I quote, reminds us of the many dangers of simple solutions to complex problems, end of quote. Let me, on behalf of Stockholm University, convey my warmest congratulations to laureate Professor Beatriz Magaloni.
Thank you, Astrid. We will now continue the ceremony by hearing from the jury as to its motivation for selection of the 2023 year's prize winner. I'm happy to see that most of the members of the esteemed jury are present here tonight. Thank you very much for your fantastic work and important work that you do. The two co-chairs, Professor Lawrence Scherman and Professor Jerzy Sarnecki, have both been of the utmost importance for setting up the Stockholm Prize in Criminology. And it's my great honor to invite Professor Scherman to enter the stage to present us the jury's motivation.
Your Majesty, Minister, Chair of the Stockholm Prize Foundation, ladies and gentlemen, this year we recognize the achievements of the 30th winner of the Stockholm Prize in Criminology, Professor Beatriz Magaloni. As with all our winners, this year's laureate was selected by the independent jury comprised of 11 criminology scholars and practitioners who journey to Stockholm each June from 6 different continents. As the international co-chair of the jury, my duty is to describe our motivation in selecting our winner. But first I must acknowledge the jurors themselves, who I ask to stand up to be recognized as I read out their names. Professor Jerzy Sarnecki is the Swedish co-chair of the jury and Professor Emeritus of General Criminology at the University of Stockholm. He is a key founder of the prize with the support of the original donor of the prize, Jerry Lee of Philadelphia. Professor Sarnecki and I are pleased to have him, if you have stood and I missed it. Oh, I didn't think so. Well, there you go. Thank you, Jerzy. We are very proud to have our colleagues on the jury also with us. So thank you, Jerzy, and Professor Susanne Karstedt, a German citizen who is Professor of Criminology at Griffith University in Australia, who is before you next to her colleague, Candice Kruchnet, a US citizen who is Professor at the University of Toronto in Canada, and Professor Friedrich Lösel, a German citizen who is Emeritus Professor at the University of Erlangen and the University of Cambridge. Now, Peter Nehru, who is a former chief constable in Britain and a Swiss citizen, as well as a British citizen, is now professor at Cambridge University's director of the police executive program there. Emil Powyczewski, who is a Polish citizen, now Emeritus Professor and former Dean of Law at the University of Białystok in Poland. Thank you, Professor Powachewski. And Hiroshi Tsutomi, who is a Japanese citizen and professor at Shizuoka University in Japan. And David Weisbord, who is a U.S. native and a distinguished professor at both the George Mason University in Virginia and Hebrew University in Israel. I would also like to thank two jurors who could not be with us here tonight. One is Beatriz Abazanda Miro of Uruguay, a Spanish native who is a criminologist with the Inter-American Development Bank in Uruguay. We also thank Tianjana Malua, former dean of the law school and the School of International Affairs at the Pennsylvania State University, having grown up in South Africa and worked for the UN on all affairs global and also in his home region. Now it is my honor to offer a laudatio to the first political scientist to win the Stockholm Prize, appropriately so because of her work in a laboratory on issues of violence, poverty, and crime. She is a professor, in fact, the Graham H. Stewart Professor of International Relations and a professor of political science at Stanford University, where she is a senior fellow at the Freeman Spogli Institute for International Studies. And we commend all of those dimensions of the Stanford University that have supported her in her large-scale and robust examinations of the factors affecting violence by the police in developing nations, primarily in her own native Mexico, as well as in Brazil. And as the first Latin American empirical scientist to receive the prize, she is also the first scholar to contribute such powerful insights on how to reduce illegal violence by police at the micro level in everyday interactions. She has clearly linked these patterns to what might appear to some to be minor changes to the rule of law, unlikely to alter the fundamental pain of the persisting problems of police abuse of citizens. But what she has shown is that by new legislation, a more democratic government in Mexico was able to change the way in which police serve their communities, very much for the better. Drawing on over 50,000 interviews with prison inmates in Mexico, asking questions about how the police treated them when they were arrested, whether they were tortured to confess their crimes, and whether other things happened to them that are a disgrace for Mexico and for free peoples everywhere. She was able to show a reduction in this kind of police conduct based on a change in statute to bar judges from accepting coerced confessions as evidence for the prosecution. Despite many people's skepticism that such statutes can matter, she demonstrated from the answers of the prisoners how that changed and reduced the prevalence of police brutality during investigations, which the Supreme Court of the United States called the third degree in the mid-20th century when it took the step of banning such processes, such practices in the United States, which were widespread until the mid-century. More recently, Professor Magaloni has conducted in Brazil large-scale randomized trials to show that police mistreatment of citizens was reduced when an item of technology entered the ecosystem of police community relations. That item of technology was body-worn video cameras, which were assigned to officers to wear on some shifts of duty and not others, in a concentrated poverty area of some 200,000 people in a favela in Rio de Janeiro. What she found was terribly important because the mere fact of having the cameras, whether or not they turned the cameras on, was clearly causal in reducing the amount of abuse that citizens received. Giving cameras to the supervisors also provided a major impact, and a discovery that the police themselves may not have expected, which is that there were fewer attacks on the police when they had their cameras on. So for all of this interesting and important evidence, not only for Latin America, but for nations around the world, the jury is proud to offer this laudatio for her work. Beatriz Magaloni, you have provided the world with valuable insights on how violence by police may be reduced, not only in high-crime Latin American communities, but anywhere in the world where violence occurs at a very high frequency in small geographic places. Embedding your policy analysis in a theoretically informed context of the nature of concentrated poverty areas, you have discovered success from interventions that many had deemed hopeless. Your research has brought new hope and new encouragement to those who are leading reforms in policing and justice around the world. Your research can and will help to build a safer world for all people of all nations. And we thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Sherman. Now we've heard the reasons behind the very wise decision taken by the jury, and now we have come to the point where the prize is to be awarded. We are very grateful that Her Majesty the Queen has accepted to award the prize also this year. So, Your Majesty, may I invite you to come up here to take the stage to present the prize in Criminology 2023 to Professor Beatriz Magaloni. Professor Magaloni, may I ask you to come up and receive the award from the hands of Her Majesty the Queen, please? Please give a warm applause to our laureates. Thank you, Your Majesty. Some of us have had the possibility to hear Professor Magaloni earlier today at the symposium. We are fortunate now to get another opportunity. And Professor Magaloni, it's my great honor to give you the floor. Please.
Your Majesty, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here tonight with you to receive this prestigious award. I want to begin by thanking the members of the jury for putting attention to the problems of violence, poverty, and the challenges of creating more humane policing for the poor in the places I study, and also for recognizing my work. My journey into this research began soon after I got tenure at Stanford, and I decided to put academic research to the benefit of society. I then founded the Poverty, Violence, and Governance Lab, whose mission is to find solutions to lawlessness and violence. This journey took me to some of the most violent places in Latin America. It required courage, determination, and the development of innovative research methodologies to tackle very difficult research problems that are often very hard to measure. The journey also required empathy towards the victims of police abuse, and also capacity to forge partnerships with police corporations to be able to stop that violence. That journey has planted a very important seed in my kids who are here with me tonight, who as university students also want to be agents of social change. I want to begin by saying that none of what I've done would have been possible without the people who accompanied me. I first want to mention my sister, Ana Laura, who is a prominent constitutional lawyer in Mexico. I studied law school with her, and since we were students, we were intrigued, preoccupied, and obsessed about changing the brutality of Mexico's criminal justice system. We both worked as pro bono lawyers, and in a very sensitive case involving a woman who acted in self-defense, and she's a survivor of sexual violence. And that case really taught me a lot of what I know about the criminal justice system in Mexico. Later on, I began doing research and applying statistical methods to understand better how to resolve these problems. And I want to acknowledge the voices of those prisoners whose data I use to provide evidence of very important reforms that have happened in Mexico. My quest to put an end to police violence took me to travel to distant lands, so I went to Brazil and spent over 10 years working there alongside police officers and community members of favelas. I want to say that none of what I've done in Brazil would have been possible without my two students, Brazilian students, Vanessa and Verien Melo, who accompanied me in every single trip to Brazil to try to solve these problems together. Vanessa was there with me. Sometimes we would take a trip to Brazil every month from California to Rio de Janeiro, and she was there with me helping forge partnerships with community members and also police officers. I want to thank those police officers who were working in partnership with us to try to put an end to police abuse. I want to mention Coronel Paulo Enrique. I want to also mention Leonardo Nogueira and also Capitan Luis. And also the community members that were side by side with us in the organizations that are the following: Agencia de Redes para a Juventude, Observadores de Favelas, and Redes de Maré. I also have to mention Christoph Gostoni, whom I started many years ago working in Mexico and developing ethnographic research to be able to conduct research in violent places. He taught me a lot, and I thank him. I obviously also thank the students who accompanied me in this quest and who became later co-authors of my papers. I want to mention Gustavo Robles, Luis Rodriguez especially, and Edgar Franco. And finally, I want to thank Alberto Diaz, my husband and sole partner. His generosity, his companionship, and also academic partnership are the key pillars of all my professional and personal accomplishments. He, together with my children, have really been a constant source of inspiration and really support me even when the traumas of working in such violent places have come to haunt me. I really keep going because I know how much they admire my work, how much they believe in what I do, and how much they share this goal of creating a society where the poor can live with no violence. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much. So, True to our traditions, we will end this ceremony by listening to a beautiful music performance. We will dive into the world of opera and hear music by Puccini and Verdi from La Bohème and La Traviata. Let me now introduce Emilia Fält, Viktor Sundqvist, Jesse Langhart, and Gustav Henriksson. The stage is yours.
Libiamo negli eti calici che la bellezza infiora, e là fuggevo l'ora s'inebria voluta. Libiam nei dolci fremiti che suscita l'amore, poiché quello che al cuore onnipotente va. Libiamo la tazza e canti con la piove baci avrà. viso di miterci confuso al balunar intera viso il sogno che avrei sempre sognar framangia d'anima e dolcezza estreme sei mia, aspetta gli amici, già mi mandi via. Vorrei dir, ma non oso. Di, se venissi con voi, Mimì. Sarebbe così dolce restar qui, c'è freddo fuori. Qui starò vicina e al ritorno curioso dammi il braccio mia piccina obbedisco signor che mammi di io
How beautiful. Thank you very much. So now this ceremony has come to an end. We would like once again, of course, to express our warmest congratulations to Beatriz. And we will also thank you all for your attention, and I hope you will enjoy your evening. Please rise for Her Majesty the Queen.
So please welcome upstairs to the Golden Hall.